Before anything else, I used to believe that the strongest stories were the ones filled with noise, the kind that crash into your life and leave everything in pieces. But I've come to realize that the ones that truly stay with you are the quiet ones, the ones that slip into your heart without asking permission and slowly reshape how you see the people you love. And this is one of those stories. The kind I never thought I would say out loud because it doesn't rely on shock or drama, but instead lives in the fragile space between a mother and her child. A space I thought I understood completely until the day I realized I didn't. My name is Melanie. I'm 39 years old, and for most of my life, I've been raising my son Zion on my own. Just the two of us learning how to survive, how to laugh, how to keep going even when things felt uncertain. And from the moment he was born, when I held his impossibly small hand and felt his fingers curl around mine, I made a silent promise that no matter what life threw at us, I would protect him from it. From pain, from disappointment, from anything that might try to take away his innocence too soon. And for years, I kept that promise with everything I had. Working long hours, coming home exhausted, but still finding the energy to cook dinner, help with homework, fix things around the house when they broke because there was no one else to rely on. And I never allowed myself to complain because every sacrifice felt like a small price to pay for the way he would smile at me, the way he trusted me completely, the way he would fall asleep next to me during movie nights, as if the world outside our home didn't exist. Zion wasn't just my son, he became my purpose, the center of every decision I made. And when he was younger, it felt like I knew everything about him. What made him laugh, what scared him, what dreams he carried quietly in his heart. But time has a way of changing things without asking for permission. And somewhere along the line, between childhood and adulthood, that closeness began to shift. In ways I didn't fully understand at first. He started spending more time alone in his room, the door closed more often than not, headphones on, conversations reduced to short answers and distant smiles. And I told myself what every parent tells themselves in moments like that it was normal, that this was what growing up looked like, that teenagers needed space to figure out who they were. But even as I tried to accept it, I could feel something inside me resisting, like a quiet voice whispering that I was losing something I didn't know how to hold on to. And then came that Tuesday night, the kind of night that doesn't seem important until it becomes the moment everything begins to change. The house felt unusually quiet, not the comfortable silence we were used to, but something heavier, something that made me pause in the middle of what I was doing and listen more closely. Usually there would be some kind of sound coming from his room, music playing, a video in the background, the faint noise of a game, but that night there was nothing, just stillness. And I tried to ignore the uneasy feeling building in my chest, telling myself I was overreacting. But eventually I found myself walking down the hallway without fully deciding to, stopping just outside his door as hesitation settled over me, because a part of me knew I should knock, that I should respect the boundaries he was beginning to build. But another part of me, the part that had spent 19 years protecting him, pushed me forward. And before I could second guess myself, I opened the door just slightly, only enough to look inside. And in that brief moment, I didn't see anything shocking or alarming, but I saw something that affected me far more deeply than I expected. I saw that my son wasn't a little boy anymore, that the child who used to need me for everything was gone, replaced by someone standing on the edge of his own independence. And I stepped back immediately, closing the door as quietly as I could, my heart racing not because of what I had seen, but because of what it meant. Because in that moment, I realized that no matter how much I wanted to hold on to the past, it was already slipping away from me. And that night, sleep never came. Not because I was angry or upset, but because I felt something I hadn't felt before, something I didn't know how to process, the quiet, unsettling feeling of being left behind, of no longer being the center of his world, the way I had been for so many years. And the next morning carried a strange kind of silence between us, not tense or confrontational, but unfamiliar. Like we were both aware of something unspoken and didn't know how to address it. He avoided my eyes while I lingered a little too long over making coffee, both of us pretending that everything was exactly the same, even though we both knew it wasn't. And later that day, I found myself standing outside his door again, but this time I knocked, giving him the choice I should have given him the night before. And when he answered, I asked if we could talk, my voice steadier than I felt. And when I sat down across from him, I realized how difficult it was to say what I needed to say, but I did it anyway, I told him. I owed him an apology, that I hadn't respected his privacy, and he brushed it off in the casual way teenagers often do. But I didn't let it go because I knew it wasn't just about that moment. It was about something bigger, something I had been struggling to admit to myself, that I had been holding on to tightly, that in trying to protect him, I had forgotten to give him the space he needed to grow. And when I said those words out loud, I could see the way they surprised him, and for a moment, there was silence between us. Before he responded in a way I didn't expect, telling me that he was trying to figure things out on his own, not because he didn't need me, but because that's what he was supposed to do. And those words stayed with me long after the conversation ended, because they forced me to see things from his perspective, to understand that his distance wasn't rejection, it was growth. And sometimes growth looks like stepping away from the people you love most. And about a week later, just when I thought I was beginning to adjust to this new reality, something happened. That brought a different kind of tension into our lives. I was in the living room cleaning when his phone lit up on the table. He had stepped outside for a moment, and at first I ignored it, respecting the boundary I had promised myself I wouldn't cross again. But then it buzzed again and again, and without meaning to, I glanced at the screen, and when I saw the name, something inside me tightened immediately, because it wasn't just anyone. It was someone I recognized, someone connected to our lives in a way that made the situation feel complicated and uncomfortable, and I tried to convince myself that I was overthinking it, that there was a reasonable explanation, but the feeling wouldn't go away. And when Zion came back inside, he looked at me in a way that told me he already knew something was wrong, asking if I was okay. And when I gave a quick answer, he didn't believe me. Not really, and after a moment, he asked if I had seen his phone, and I hesitated before nodding, admitting that it had lit up while he was gone, and instead of getting defensive, he sighed and sat down, telling me there was something he needed to tell me, and I could feel my heart beating faster as I prepared myself for what was coming. And when he explained that he had been talking to someone, I tried to stay calm, reminding myself that this was normal, that he was at an age where connections and relationships were part of growing up. But when he clarified that the situation wasn't that simple, that it wasn't just someone his own age, I felt a shift in the atmosphere around us. And when he finally said the name out loud, everything inside me went still, because I knew exactly who it was. And my first reaction wasn't anger like I might have expected, it was confusion, trying to understand how something like this had even begun. And when I asked him, he explained that it started innocently, just conversations, advice, nothing serious at first. And those two words, at first, echoed in my mind because they carried so much weight, implying a change that had happened gradually, something that had crossed a line neither of us had seen coming. And that night, after he went to bed, I sat alone thinking about everything. He had told me about the person on the other end of those messages, about the difference in experience and perspective, and one question kept repeating itself in my mind: whether that person truly cared about my son, or if they were taking advantage of the fact that he was still figuring out who he was, still learning how to navigate emotions and relationships. And the more I thought about it, the more I realized that this wasn't something I could ignore or hope would resolve itself. So the next day, I made a decision not out of fear or the need to control, but love. The kind of love that wants to protect without suffocating. And when I sat down with him again, I made it clear that I wasn't there to fight or to demand anything from him, but to help him see things clearly, to talk about boundaries and what healthy relationships should look like, to share my perspective without forcing it on him. And it wasn't an easy conversation. There were moments of silence, moments where I could tell he was processing what I was saying, but there was also honesty, a willingness to listen that reminded me he was still the same person I had raised, just growing into someone new. And in the end, I didn't give him ultimatums or try to control his decisions. I trusted that if I gave him the truth, he would find his way to the right conclusion on his own. And slowly over time he did, beginning to see the situation from a different perspective, understanding the imbalance, the potential for harm, and choosing to step back in a way that felt like his own decision rather than something imposed on him. And through all of this, I learned something that changed the way I see love and parenting, that protecting someone doesn't always mean holding on as tightly as you can. Sometimes it means knowing when to loosen your grip, when to step back and allow them to grow while still being there as a steady presence they can return to. And I realized that the bond between us hadn't been broken by distance or change. It had simply evolved into something new, something that required trust as much as it required love. And that sometimes the quiet moments, the difficult conversations, the situations that challenge you the most are the ones that reveal what truly holds a family together. Not perfection or control, but understanding, patience, and the willingness to grow alongside each other even when it feels uncomfortable. And as a mother, that was the lesson I didn't know I needed. That love isn't about keeping someone close at all costs. It's about giving them the freedom to become who they are while reminding them that no matter how far they go, they're never alone.